Hey y'all, welcome back. Today we are going over all the books from December, which totaled up actually to be 14. I read 14 books in December. It was a very close call though, like literally finished the last one 20 minutes before midnight. So yeah, it was a very, I don't know how I ended up reading 14 books. I thought 12 that I ended up the TBR with. I was like, this is a lot. And I added to it. So let's dig into all the books I read and what the ratings came out with, what we thought about them. And I would love to know how your Decembers ended up. Some of you let me know your TBRs for December, and did you get them finished? Were you able to get to all of them? Did you actually enjoy them though, is the main point too. Did we enjoy what we read to close out 2022? Nope, we are not going back to 2020. The first book that was finished in December is technically a carryover book. I think I started it on November 30th. And this would be The Children of Húrin by J.R.R. Tolkien. Maybe I said that name right. It ended up being a 4.25 stars because I loved getting to see this first age of Middle Earth where things were so much different than, what the fellowships are all. But this is very different. This was super dark. We follow our main character, Thorin? Yeah, Thorin. Names similar. Okay, so Thorin is the son of Húrin, whose father is captured really early on in the book by Morgoth. And he has a very gloomy life. He's a nice person. He's a good person, kind of, but as he grows up and, becomes this great warrior, he goes from just being a stubborn dude to being kind of arrogant. Or his confidence in his own abilities, like his intelligence and his fighting abilities, leads to kind of arrogance, and he pushes to do things like everything has to be his way. And this leads to more heartache because it's like almost ill luck. Every time things are going good for him, something bad happens. Yeah, it's a very short story for a lot of bad things to happen. And you follow Thorin through his life from when he is a little boy. The first bad thing, being his father gets captured. No, actually his little sister dies from illness first, and he almost dies. And his father's captured, and just, the invasion of evil over their kingdom then. Yeah, and just bad things happen. I have never read a Tolkien book that is so very dark. And there towards the end, you get things that I've seen in Martin books, like George R.R. Martin. Yep, okay. But of course, in Tolkien's books, it's very much cleaner. Things are stated but understated, and it's not lewd like what you would find in A Song of Ice and Fire. But things do happen that are like, wow. And at the end of the book, it's just super duper sad, and one character I don't really understand as much. But yeah, it was a good book, It was written beautifully, of course. You got to see this different time period. The way elves and men reacted or interacted together was different. It was a very different experience from the characters that we normally see. Following this very gloomy, somber book, I read a Christmas book, which would be The Santa Suit by Mary Kay Andrews. I had the physical copy, but I had to return it to the library. So this one, it's a short story. Wow, two short stories, kind of, short in his opinion, but this one was a novella technically, and we follow Ivy. Is her name Ivy? Yes, her name is Ivy. We follow her after she has divorced and moved from Atlanta to this small town in North Carolina, I want to say. And she bought a farmhouse with land and stuff to be as a fixer-upper thing. She is a marketing person, so she designs websites and does marketing for businesses, which is a company that her and her husband used to own before the divorce and his quick remarriage to one of their biggest clients that they had. So she's looking for her fresh start. And this house that she buys still comes pretty much fully furnished because it was a family home and the parents had passed. So their son-in-law, after their daughter passed, he is now selling the home. So it's fully furnished. And in it, she finds this exquisite Santa suit that is like old style, but is very well made, velvet, and yes. And inside there is a note because the man used to play Santa for the kids in town. And it was just heartbreaking. The note that she found was from a little girl back, I guess it would have been the Vietnam War. And she asked to please Santa bring her daddy home so her mom wouldn't be sad anymore. This little Christmas fluff book, like making me tear up now thinking about it. My God, it made me want to cry so many times. This first thing from this Santa letter, finding out about the friend she makes in town with one of the older men, because she finds out that it was his granddaughter and what happened and how he's alone, what happened to his wife and his son. And I was like, oh my God, this book, this fluffy little Christmas book, why does it keep making me want to cry? So she investigates, of course, about the letter. She wants to track down, find out what happened to the little girl. And she's as her fresh start and everything, and her getting involved in the town. And of course, it is Christmas time. And it's just so sweet. It is. And like what she does for one of the businesses in town and, you know, helping them out, and how she makes friends and is helping her out. And of course, there's a little romance, which the romance actually does seem a little pushy. And then when you find out more about it, you're like, oh, that's actually maybe a little creepy. But for a novella, everything has to happen quickly, I suppose. I don't know. I just would have been done. I would have been fine without that at all. They could have just been starting things like, you know, slow, simmer, whatever. Overall, the book ended up being a 3.75 stars. It was a quick, interesting, it was a good holiday read, I guess. And our next one is where I finally got to A Wise Man's Fear. The Wise Man's Fear. The Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss. The second one in the Kingkiller Chronicles. So, this one. Our story progressed a little bit. Like, in present time, we're both a telling chronicler, not so much. Like it says here, day 2. I never noticed that until after the book was finished. That part is slow. As he's telling the story, though, we also progress only about a year, maybe 2, considering the events that happen. You find out, though, Ari, who we love, Ari, she definitely knows something about the Chandrian. He finds out more details about the Chandrian. He encounters Fairy for the first time, the Fae. He learns more about naming. He like actually harnesses some powers there. Elodin teaches a class. That was probably the, oh my gosh. Kavoth is stupid though, you know. He does not realize that Elodin is teaching him. As the second book, you can't say much. And this is very hard to describe in and of itself. I should have maybe gone into the first book's description, but we're just going to move on. Overall, it ended up rating as a 4.25 stars. Yeah. I hope he does write the third book, like have the third book finished, to come out soon though, and that the story will progress a bit more. I like that this opened up the world a bit more. We actually got to see some more of the world, hear some more of the world stories of how things happened. But answers are needed. Yes, we need that sort of answers, story progression. The next book is also a sequel book, and that is The House of Sky and Breath, which is the second one in the Crescent City series by Sarah J. Maas. I have the audiobook for this one, not the physical book. It ended up being a 4.25 stars as well. I really, really loved finding out more about this world and more about the overall world that she's placing this whole series in. That's awesome. Finding some history. The politickiness of the book, that was a little cool. We got a little bit more. I hated though how we broke apart Danica's story. I feel like the first book, the biggest thing about the first book was Bryce and Danica's friendship and sisterly love and how much Danica was doing for Bryce, well, and the world. But then you picked it apart in the second book. Like, you find out how much Danica was hiding from Bryce. So much. To where you're like, did she even know her at all? So I hated that. Could we not have found somebody else to have done all these things? But no, it's easier to have dead Danica do it. No. No. Irritating. Okay. I did like how Hunt and Bryce had decided that instead of having like a relationship that started, through all this fast-paced trauma and stuff like that, they wanted to get to know each other, spend time, learning about each other, spend time with each other before having this full-on relationship. That was super sweet. And, they were to the point where they, had secret jokes and they could finish each other's conversations, make everyone around them irritated with how kind of cutesy it was. But they were still taking their time. That was adorable. I really loved it. I love how they interact with each other. And that last chapter, oh my God. The things from the last chapter, yes, it was just perfect. I talked about this in something else, I think. My 2022 best books. Yeah, that was just awesome. Continuing with my Christmas reading vibes, I read The Christmas Candy Killing by Christina Ramiro. A Christmas Candy Killing. I keep getting the A and the in book titles mixed up right now. This one was a 3.75. It had the cozy mystery feels for sure, as our main characters are twins and they own a bookshop / candy store. Like, one twin is a chocolatier and she makes all the candies they sell in the shop, and the other one is works with the bookshop side of it, obviously, because she can make the candies, but she's not gifted at it like her sister, and she accepts that fact. She's okay with that fact. They have started this as like their second career venture. They both had, well, Hannah, the twin that makes the chocolates, she worked at her family's restaurant before, so she's always been in food and stuff. But Alex was in banking, and after both of them have gone through first marriages and are now in their 40s, and they're just happy living in this new town, owning this business together. This is what they want to do with their life. They have a book club that is the Sleuths, I think, book club, where they go into mystery book things. So it's adorable. All of their candies are named after poisons and murders things. It is just so cute. I think this is the first book in what might be turning into a series. But this first one, though, Alex and one of her friends from the book club comes to her and tells her that she thinks a murderer is living in their town, that she saw it in one of her true crime shows. Now, most people would be like, really? But see, this is not the first townsperson she has tried to identify like this. So, they take it with a grain of salt until she's found murdered. And Alex is actually one of the prime suspects. So she starts investigating herself based on things that, they learned from their mystery books, how to investigate. And she wants to clear her name. The sheriff is barely involved. One of the deputies is, though. But, it's very, very bad, really, how the sheriff's character was done, because she's like, okay, well, this is who did it, because it's almost Christmas, it's an election year, and I just want to wrap this up. Even though the evidence is like circumstantial about him, he did it, we're going to book him. The end. Yeah, never, I'm sure some people, maybe a little bit, but there has to be more investigative done, I'm sure. Yeah, there's that. But overall, it was a very enjoyable little read. It gave you the Christmas feels. It gave this cozy mystery. It wrapped itself up. There's chocolates. It even gives you a chocolate recipe at the end of the book. That was, So, very enjoyable. I think people might want to pick this one up next Christmas, as you know, we're trying to get into Christmas feels and you don't want just the cheesy Christmas romance novel. This one. Continuing in the month of sequels, apparently, is Caliban's War by James S.A. Corey. This is the second in the Expanse series, and it got 4 stars. I really enjoyed listening to this one as we continued with the crew of the Rocinante. This time, though, we saw for 4 perspectives. We still got Holden. We saw through Prax, who is a botanist on Ganymede, as he is trying to get back to his daughter or find his daughter. And he hires out the crew of the Rocinante to help him recover his daughter after the events on Ganymede, which takes place at the beginning of the book. Which, those events is also what brings in Bobby, who is a Martian Marine. And I really liked seeing through her perspective, and the UN Undersecretary Christian Avasarala, as those two interact. They were just so much fun. Yes, I really enjoyed their perspectives. I like that we got more, and especially because the way that Holden went in this book, like his whole personality was changing, and it was a lot due to fear, but the fact that he wouldn't even confide in like his crewmates who were like his family. Yeah, he changed a lot in this book, so I kind of enjoyed the other chapters a bit more than Holden's. And they prevented, all-out war in the solar system by proving what happened on Ganymede, that it wasn't Mars and it wasn't Earth, that neither of them did it. Maybe saying too much already. Excuse me. Don't drink water and breathe at the same time. Still doing that, recovering. But yes, I really enjoyed this. I like the way the series is going. I like the details we are getting, and I can't wait to continue with it, especially with how the end of the book went. The events with the protomolecule that took place in the book are a little bit different than what the show had given us, which of course, they have to make it more dramatic in the show. But yeah, I can't wait to continue into the next one. Book number 7 is another Christmas one. It is The Christmas Bookshop by Jenny Caliban. This one got a 3.25 stars. I didn't particularly enjoy it, mostly because of our main character. A little bit the writing style. It sounded awesome. We're in Dublin at Christmas time. She works at a bookshop. That was enough. But the description makes it sound like, okay, Carmen took this job at this bookshop to work through the Christmas season because she does not want to have to spend time with her perfect sister and hear about all the ways her life is going wrong, and it's just her and Mr. McCready, the older gentleman who owns the store. I don't remember if it mentioned that she had to save the store in the description, but yeah. So her perfect sister thing, it makes it sound like we're just going to see through Carmen's perspective, but thank God we didn't, because I did not like Carmen. She's a poor me type of character for pretty much the entire book. Okay, I'm going to stop talking about this book now, because I did not really enjoy it. It was not for me. I loved the bookshop part of it, and I did like her character growth, that she did become, the adult she was supposed to be. But we're going to continue on. So the next book, another sequel, is The Hunger of the Gods in the Bloodsworn saga. Let's call it saga. I kept calling it trilogy. I don't know how many books there's going to be. By John Green. I will say that I did enjoy this one much better than the first one. We got more battles, the world sagas that are building, the twisty things that you find out a little bit. I actually enjoyed Orca's character a little bit more in this one, like maybe because she opened up more with the Bloodsworns. Still Varg is my favorite character to hear from. We saw through another perspective in this one after the thing he did in the first book. You find out a bit more of his reasoning. Though the ending for that character I really didn't like. I feel like he went against himself there of what he has been this entire time. Yeah. And the second new perspective, though, I hated him a lot, the snot-nosed weasel, and having to see through him, and he was just a coward, a stupid coward at that, who always called himself clever. He was not. I hated that. But yes, we continue with our three main perspectives, Orca, Elva, and Varg, that you saw in the first book, as they are continuing on with their missions, as they have adapted and changed a little bit because of the catastrophic events at the end of the first book. We see the gods more in this book, of course. Yes, that was awesome. Learning about them, learning about some of the things that happened. I also have a better appreciation for his writing style. I think, yes, sometimes over details and definitely repeated things about people that you might have just heard, definitely. But the way he writes, kind of like what I said about Tolkien, about not being lewd, he is factual to the fact that they are Vikings and, you know, they're warriors. So we do have some gory, grim details of like the battles and stuff. But the other aspects, while yes, saying that yes, this stuff does happen, we don't have to go into the detail of that. We don't have to be gross. We don't have to focus on those aspects that it just is not necessary to the story to focus on. Or even if you do talk about it, it's just in a very clean kind of way of writing it. And I appreciate that. It's something that I wasn't really aware of at first, but then it's just, I noticed it later on and I was like, I really like that he actually does that. It's much nicer for the story to have that in this aspect versus just, yet again, like how Martin spells out those sorts of things. So 4.25 stars for this book. Greatly enjoyed it, and I guess I will be continuing this series then. Book number 9 then. This is another Colleen Hoover. I did try the next one. This ends with us. It ends with us. Yeah, that one. It was a 3.5 stars. This one we follow Lily Bloom and Ryle something and kind of Atlas. So when she was a teenager, Lily helped Atlas, you know, when he was homeless, kind of, would have died. And now 10 years later, she's, you know, hasn't seen him in forever, but he was, you know, her first love, all this. But now she has moved on. She's moved to Boston. She has just buried her father, who was apparently very abusive to her mom. And she meets Ryle, who when she first sees him, she can tell he has anger issues. But he's perfect. He's a neurosurgeon doctor. He's awesome. And they kind of start this flirtation thing that takes months before they're actually, you know, dating. It's a very weird aspect. She just told him about her dad, you know, so that he knows that past, knows that she is not going to put up with stuff like that, and yet can't say things, but the back of the book makes it seem like, you know, will she pick the relationship with Ryle, which is new and starting, or all of a sudden Atlas is back in her life, and will she pick to be with Atlas? It's totally not what the book is about. There was red flags throughout the book about things, and yet swept under the rug. I know that she wrote the book to be actually kind of factual about her own parents' relationship and showing it from the side of an abuse victim. So you should go into that knowing that there are trigger warnings about, you know, being in an abusive relationship like that. And she does look at how the character would rationalize things, and how I am giving away so much about the book though, feeling about this, but yeah, it is supposed to be a look though at like what this type of person would be going through in the mindset of somebody like that. I don't know how to describe it. I think that she conveyed the message well, but there were still some issues with it. But it's a very delicate type of message to look at. I will say that the resolution of the book was good. Yeah. Let's move on from it because I'm not doing a good job talking about it except for actually spoiling part of the book. Book number 10 was actually a hold that came in from the library, which is Castles and Their Bones by Laura Sebastian. This is the first in this series. It ended up being a 3.75 stars. We follow 3 triplets who have been raised from birth to go out and marry princes of other kingdoms and pretty much take them apart from the inside so their mother, the Empress, can go conquer those lands. So they have been raised in poison, espionage, lying, obviously. But pretty much, to take these over, and each of them are very different personalities. Very, very different. The youngest, I think it is, she is very sweet and timid, and she actually loves it would have been the prince, but his father died, so she's married to the king. She actually loves the king she marries, and her mom knows this, and it kind of does not work well. Her and her mom, she pretty much thinks she's weak, and love makes you weak. The magic system here is based off the stars, so pretty much these powerful enchanters will call down stars to make wishes upon, and even the star dust left over from this wish is very powerful. And there's also star falls in their world, where when the stars fall and there's stardust, and it's a very lucrative market. I'm going to be reading the next one and this one soon though, to be able to continue it and see how that's going to turn out, and I will let you guys know then. I might still not be going very fast. Book number 11. That was the last Christmas one I read, and this is A Merry Little Meet Cute by Sierra Simone and Julie Murphy. This one, our main characters are a ex-boy band. The bad boy of the boy band is trying to do a Christmas movie to revive his career and fix his image, and an adult entertainer actress is cast in the movie as well, because the producer for the movie is trying to make a fresh start for his career too, and also earn extra income to pay for his kids' colleges and stuff like that. The main actress that was supposed to be in the Christmas movie suffered an unfortunate accident, and he needs to find a replacement fast. So he calls somebody that is in his other line of work to fill in for it, because he knows that she has always wanted to be a regular actress. Yeah, it was it's a very big stretch of the imagination how some of these things work, I suppose, and the fact that they figured nobody would know, because those two kinds of audiences don't cross at all. I felt so much though for Nolan, who's like supposed to be the bad boy band member, as he's trying to revive his career to help take care of his mom, who can't work because she's bipolar, and she has episodes that are really bad in her health and stuff, and his teenage sister who's still in high school, and their dad has died, so he's kind of having to take care of both of them and pay for insurance and everything in the house. So yeah, I feel very much for Nolan as he's trying to do stuff, and he immediately recognizes his co-star B, and he tries not to tell her. He tries to act like he does not recognize her, but once he does kind of come out and say, he slips up and says it, he should have immediately also said why he's doing this, because then they have to have that miscommunication trope until she actually finds out his secret after his mom has an accident and gets taken to the hospital. So she finds out why he's doing this. Yeah, the reporter who's after him to always dig up the dirt on Nolan Shaw, show all his bad things and everything. That was sure. It was a cutesy kind of book. For that kind of a book, there's some spice. There's of course some spice. It was a fun read though. It was funny. It was very funny several times. And it does have a nice body positivity message. Almost to the end of the list. Next one is The Last Kingdom by Bernard Cornwell. I finally got to this one. This one is the first in the Saxton Tales? What's the series called? This is historical fiction, and being of 4 stars. We follow Uhtred of Bebbanburg from the time that he is a small child, and he is English or Saxon. In 800 AD. When does this book take place? Yeah, in starting around 860 AD. And so he's a child, and he is kind of a lord's son. Then the Danes invade and take over where he lives. He is taken by the Danes. They like his feisty spirit. He gets adopted by Ragnar, and he grows up with him. And he actually loves Ragnar more than his own dad, because Ragnar, treats him nicely. It teaches him. Then things happen, and he ends up kind of back with the Saxons as a teenager, fighting for them, fighting always though to get back his kingdom of Bebbanburg. Not the kingdom, area, lorddom. I enjoyed it though. I enjoyed seeing his life, seeing the things that happened, the battle bits, just the thought process. I don't know. I think I'm going to continue the series slowly but surely. It's a completed series, so there's that. And it was not very long. Not very long at all. Maybe that one didn't get the best description. We'll work on it as we get further along. But this video is so long. The next one, I finally read my Fairy Lou book, Twin Crowns by Catherine Weber and Catherine Dole. This one was only a 3.5 stars. I liked Castles and Their Bones better. This one, we are following twin sisters instead of triplets. Even though it's so pretty, and I will keep it because it's pretty, I will probably not read the sequel because I didn't enjoy either of the twins' perspectives, as you saw through both of their eyes. One raised as the crown princess, one raised by witches, because on the day of their birth, both of their parents were murdered, and one was taken away to live in the safety of the witches, and one was raised by kind of the regent to inherit the crown. So the one raised by witches comes, has her sister kidnapped, takes her place to become the queen, to allow the witches to not be hunted, not be outlawed anymore, and make the country whole again. And things don't happen as planned, of course. I did like a little bit of the backstory of the world and the witches we are told, but just generally, I did not like spending time with either twin. I did not like their outlook. They were not, yeah. So, 3.5 stars. It was an okay book though. It was an interestingly done magic system. Like anytime you use magic, there is like a cost to it. Something has to, pay for the magic to happen. So if you're a healer, it would take, your own energy, or the enchantress, she uses rose petals or sand from the special desert, which is, very magical. And last book, but certainly not least, that was finished almost at midnight on New Year's Eve, would be Go Tell the Bees I'm Gone by Diana Gibbon. This is book 8 or 9 in the Outlanders series, as we are still following Jamie and Claire Fraser in their, epic time-spanning romance, and also Bree and Roger, their daughter and son-in-law, Ian, Rachel, Lord John Grey, William, as we are still leading up to the American Revolution, or whether they're in the middle of the revolution, because it's 2 years till the end of the war. As things are happening, they're finding out why their daughter came back from 1980, and the events taking place there. You are introduced, of course, to another person. You never see through their eyes, but you figure out who this person is, why they are doing the things that they are doing, as they are rebuilding their life on Fraser's Ridge. And their tenants are, some of them are still loyalists, some of them are rebels, and the implications of that. It ended up being a 4-star read. I don't like the way the book ended. I don't. Because some things took forever to play out, and then the last few chapters of the book, it was just happening. It was quick, and then we leave off with this unanswered thing, this undone thing, where why? It's not as bad though as the previous one, where he punches him and they just and they're on the run. Well, not the one before this, the one before that one. Still, that's my description for this book. It was good. If you actually enjoy the Outlander books, you will still enjoy this one. I just do wish that some storylines would have been done better. Maybe less time focusing on this, more into this, and that ending didn't have to be rushed when it's already this long a book. If we had just cut this, not made it super long, and then we could have flushed this out better. These were all the 14 books that I managed to do in December, just barely managed. I hope this video has not been too excruciatingly long, or that I did not go on too long. What was your favorite books you read in December though? Please let me know. I should have a poll up on the Instagram, yes, and a YouTube community tab about the book review that I'm doing for this weekend. Let me know your thoughts if you do want completely spoiler-free or some spoilers for the first Sanderson secret novel, Tress of the Emerald Sea. Oh, it was so cute. It was. If you are enjoying these videos though, you can check out more of my videos, the January TBR I did, the new video series talking about this week's new releases, and if you're just enjoying the content in general, please consider subscribing so that way you can check out all the future videos that we have coming. Thank you guys so much for sticking around through hopefully not a super duper long video, and I'm sorry for any of the child noises you might have heard in the background through the video. Thank you guys so much though. I hope you're finding something awesome to read today, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.